A young Minneapolis woman went from being a 20-something happy-go-lucky free spirit to a 33-year-old single mom and widow after losing her husband to cancer. She's documented her life on her popular blog and just released a memoir called It's Okay to Laugh, Crying is Cool Too. The book documents her loss and her push to move forward and is laced with not just grief, but laughter. Nora McInerny joins us live in studio this morning. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
All right. And I told you this before. When I picked up the book, I thought this is going to be a tough read. And I almost saw somebody so young, losing your husband, a young mom. And you have so much humor in this book. How did you interweave that? And it's got to be part of just who you are.
It is. I mean, I won't lie about it. Like, I was raised by kind of a goofball, and I was married to a total goofball. So the book includes, the death of my father, sorry guys, and my husband. And up until literally their last breaths, they were making me laugh. So it was just the truest way that I could write the story.
All right. And you do an amazing job of kind of interspersing the road to his passing and also your road forward with this little boy. I mean, your child is only 3 years old right now.
Just turned 3.
Tell us about the obituary, because that's gotten a lot of attention.
It did, which was unexpected. But Aaron and I wrote his obituary together. We wrote it the night that he was admitted into hospice. And I wanted to do everything right for Aaron. So in our whole marriage, we've been talking about difficult things. We've been talking about death, making our wills and our healthcare directives and all these things that, super sexy topics when you're in your 30s. So we sat down and I said, dude, I know you want to watch Game of Thrones tonight, but we've got to write your obituary because I don't want to publish anything that doesn't feel good to you. So we were laughing and crying, and we wrote something that really went a little crazy.
And you wrote, actually, in the obituary that your husband had suffered all these years from being bitten by a spider and it turned into
spider. Yeah.
Into Spider-Man, and that your young son would do what?
Grew up to avenge his father's untimely death.
Okay. And again, it's difficult to describe how nuanced your book is, how funny it is. It was such a tragic subject, but I think maybe tell us about the response, because you have to read this book, and again, it's okay to laugh, crying is cool too. Tell us about the response, because people have been coming up to you and thanking you.
For years. The blog has existed since probably 2012, when Aaron was really, really sick with brain cancer. And I wrote the book that I wanted to read when I was going through something like this. I didn't want to write this book when I was, in my 40s and, married again, living, somewhere with 10 children, and could say, oh, in my 30s, the craziest thing happened, but don't worry, everything's fine. I wrote a book where it's not fine, and that reflects all these crazy feelings that you go through, which is the full spectrum of feelings, by the way. It's not like something bad happens to you and you never smile again. And people like that, because people who have been through something like this know how that feels.
Right. But you also capture the darkness and the difficulty. I think you wrote that for you, grief was not a wave, which you often hear it described, but as a stalker.
Completely. Yeah. So things tend to look easy, and I think that I've almost made it look easy, and that's because grief doesn't really fit in a square Instagram photo, but it's there and it's around the edges, and I kind of never know when it's going to pop up. So grief is not something that ends. I don't think that there are 5 neat stages, although I know that's widely accepted by people. I think it's more of a hamster wheel, and you'll always be on it, and just sometimes it's more work and sometimes it's less work.
Right. Well, it is. It's difficult to describe how good this book is, because I was just riveted, and you do go into the dark places and you go into the lighter, and the light and dark together. Yeah. It's a terrific effort, and again, it's okay to laugh. Crying is cool too. Thank you so much, Nora, for coming in.